The world has witnessed many events during 2012, mostly painful and less fortunate for people. On January 7, 12 people were killed in shootings at the offices of the satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris. Following the outrage, world leaders marched along the Champs-Élysées to show their solidarity with Charlie and with France. After hideous acts committed in Syria, the world discovered that ISIS was taking the fight beyond its home territory. 3 teams of ISIS terrorists struck at 4 locations in Paris, killing 130 people. But ISIS' efforts to take the fight to its enemies had begun even earlier. In July, a suicide bomber loyal to the Islamic State killed 33 people in Suruk, Turkey, not far from the border with Syria. 3 months later, 2 suicide bombers killed 102 people at a peace rally in Ankara. On October 31, a bomb brought down a Russian passenger airliner over the Sinai, killing 224 people on board. And then, on December 2, a husband and wife who had pledged allegiance to ISIS Caliph, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, killed 14 people in a mass shooting in San Bernardino, California. The attacks prompted renewed Western airstrike against ISIS, redirected domestic politics in France and the United States, and raised worrying questions about what 2016 might bring. A long-running brutal civil war in Syria has caused approximately 4.3 million Syrians to flee their country. In 2012, Europe hardly looked capable of handling its own problems, let alone running the world. Still struggling to emerge from a deep economic recession, it was hit by a wave of nearly 1 million refugees. Most were seeking to escape the horror of the Syrian civil war. Others, however, were economic migrants seeking better job opportunities. The influx of refugees provided heart-wrenching images of people desperate to reach Europe, sometimes failing with deadly consequences, but more often succeeding. The influence exposed Europe's porous borders, highlighted differences with Europe over how to handle immigrants, and gave new life to Europe's many nationalist and anti-immigrant parties. The refugee crisis also created political problems across the Atlantic. The Obama administration announced in September that it would take at least 10,000 Syrian refugees in 2006. But in the aftermath of the Paris and San Bernardino attacks, compassion quickly swung to concern, and federal, state, and local politicians moved to block Muslim refugees from entering the United States or relocating to their communities. As long as Syria's civil war persists and the European economy attracts job seekers, the refugee and migrant pressure on Europe will continue. Another horrific event hits the Muslims. A stampede during one of the last rituals of the Hajj, the annual Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca, has killed more than 700 people and injured nearly 900 others in Saudi Arabia. The stampede occurred during the ritual known as Stoning the Devil in a tent city in Mina, about 2 miles from the holy site in Mecca, Islam's holiest city. The diesel emission scandal has dominated the motor industry in recent months, and motoring experts believe the negative headlines to continue throughout next year. Volkswagen admitted in September that it had fitted software designed to cheat emissions tests for nitrogen oxides in 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide. No other manufacturers have come forward with a similar confession, but experts believe that could be more revelation in 2006. In early 2012, in Yemen, Houthi rebels took over the governments in Sinai, which led to the fall of the Saudi-backed government of Abu Rabu Mansour Hadi. Consequently, Saudi Arabia has launched airstrikes against Iranian-backed militias in Yemen, broadening that country's civil conflict into a regional war. By September, the UN had recorded 2,000 civilian deaths and 4,700 civilian injuries in a conflict in which 93% of deaths have been civilians. All in all, 2015 is a year to forget, with many terrible and painful events that shocked the world. But will 2016 be any different? Only the future will tell us.